his fire in the belly. According to the New England Historic Genealogical Society, Obama is related to not one, not two, but at least 6 U.S. presidents. Both Presidents Bush, Gerald Ford, LBJ, Harry Truman, and James Madison, who wrote the Constitution. 6 U.S. presidents.
Real change. This is no ordinary time.
The only reason I'm standing here today is because somebody, somewhere, stood up when it was risky. Stood up when it was hard. Stood up when it wasn't popular. And because that somebody stood up, a few more stood up. And then a few thousand stood up. And then a few million stood up. And standing up with courage and clear purpose, they somehow managed to change the world. As president, I will end this war in Iraq. We will have our troops home within 16 months. I'll close Guantanamo. I will restore habeas corpus. I will finish the fight against Al-Qaeda. This party, the party of Jefferson and Jackson, of Roosevelt and Kennedy, has always made the biggest difference in the lives of the American people when we led not by polls, but by principles. Not by calculation, but by conviction. When we summoned the entire nation to a common purpose. Even as we speak, there are those who are preparing to divide us. Well, I say to them tonight, there is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Senator Obama, after you so arrogantly mocked and ridiculed the books of Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and the Sermon on the Mount, taking those passages of the Bible so painfully out of context, you then condescendingly stated that, quote, folks haven't been reading their Bible, unquote.
Compromise. It's the art of the impossible. If God's spoken, then followers are expected to live up to God's edicts, regardless of the consequences. Now, to base one's own life on such uncompromising commitments may be sublime, but to base our policy making on such commitments would be a dangerous thing. And to give you an example, we all know the story of Abraham and Isaac. Abraham's ordered by God to offer up his only son. Without argument, he takes Isaac up to the mountaintop, he binds them to the altar, raises his knife, prepares to act as God commanded. Now, we know things worked out. You know, God sends down an angel to intercede at the very last minute. Abraham passes God's test of devotion. But it's fair to say that if any of us leaving this church saw Abraham on the roof of a building raising his knife, we would at the very least call the police and expect the Department of Children and Family Services to take non-believers. And even if we did have only Christians in our midst, if we expelled every non-Christian from the United States of America, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools? Would it be James Dobson's or Al Sharps's?
America wants Christopher Duda's Coke extradited to face charges of cocaine trafficking and gun running. After much wrangling, the Jamaican authorities have agreed to cooperate and have gone after him. But it's the last thing many of his supporters want to see happen.
He is regarded by his supporters as a man who is fulfilling a role that the government doesn't. He provides money to support their children, puts food on their tables. He's kind of regarded almost, if you like, as a Robin Hood figure here.
Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez has once again accused the United States of playing God. But this time it's Haiti's disastrous earthquake that he thinks the U.S. was behind. Spanish newspaper ABC quotes Chavez as saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti. France has accused the U.S. of occupying stricken Haiti, saying its military surge is hindering the relief effort. The French minister in charge of humanitarian aid has asked the UN to clarify America's role in the country. He says after assuming charge of Haiti's main airport, they've been turning away emergency supplies in favor of military planes.
But here's a report. U.S. warships cause anger in Costa Rica. This is all over the Latin American news, all over the European news, but very little news here in the United States. Costa Rica has allowed 46 U.S. warships, 7,000 Marines to enter the country despite objections by the opposition parties, which describe the move as illegal. Costa Rican opposition parties denounced the decision of Legislative Assembly, describing it as illegal in violation of national sovereignty.
Mexican officials say a U.S. Border Patrol agent shot and killed a 14-year-old boy. It happened after a confrontation at an international crossing near downtown El Paso, Texas. Mexico is now demanding an investigation.
Are you prepared to take the oath, Senator?
I am.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
that I will execute
the office of President of the United States.
President of the United States faithfully.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
This was the immediate reaction in New York's Times Square. Sheer joy. And this the response back in Chicago. Among the ecstasy, tears too. For Jesse Jackson, one of the country's civil rights champions, a day perhaps he never thought he would see. And here in Washington, D.C., a mood of jubilation.
Millions of supporters have been celebrating across the United States after what has been an unprecedented turnout at the polls.
Biggest night in history of my life, Billy. It's huge.
I believe when you dream, your dreams can come true.
And thousands of miles from the White House, Barack Obama's Kenyan relatives rejoice at the election of the man they call their child.
One story. Barack Obama has, as one German newspaper put it, resurrected the American dream. His victory touching a chord from South Africa.
It's very nice to see a black man leading with such an example.
To Egypt.
I think that the American people did the right thing.
Even in Cuba.
Now I feel my belief, my faith in America is my faith in Obama.
At parties in France, in London, and in Japan.
I don't see him as this perfect person, but I do think that America is going in a direction of a change.
Great-grandmother who was a slave would be happy. I'm happy. This is the first time my vote ever counted that I know. Oh, ma!